Hello, coaches. Um, welcome to our sixth commencement, our sixth class of habit coaches. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being on this habit journey with us. I think Kendra has probably told you many times, but there's several unique things that you're doing here. For one, habit coaching is very special in that it opens coaching up to people that probably would never even consider a coach. I mean, it makes coaching feel very practical because it's concrete. What are you going to get out of this coaching relationship? I'm going to get this habit out of it. And for two, it does something I think is really important in the world of self-improvement, is that it's an alternative to quick fixes. Habit coaching takes this important viewpoint that if you start with consistency, you can build that up to anything. And so for many years now, Kendra and I and the team here at Coach.me have been working to bring the power of habits to more people, and you're a big part of that. So thank you, and congratulations to all of our graduates today. We're really happy to honor you. And one of the ways that we try to honor you is with a proper commencement ceremony, which, we do the best we can. We play pomp and circumstance for you, and we try to bring in an esteemed commencement speaker. So for today, we are honored to have with us, I'll bring her to the stage in a little bit, have with us world famous video game designer, Amy Jo Kim. Amy was instrumental in the design of games that a lot of you have probably heard of, including The Sims, Ultima Online, and Rock Band. She's the author of a book, Game Thinking, and teaches product design as a startup coach. It's the game designer part that made me think that she would be a match for us, because game designers like us are behavior designers. They're helping a person chase a challenge with a series of new behaviors and skills, and that person is learning new things, and the designer of the game is trying to keep them engaged and while also challenging them. And it is a lot of overlap between what we do as coaches and what game designers do. The whole world of behavior design it has a lot of similar skills, but for different goals. So in our world, a person comes to us with a goal and we help them achieve it. And it's very much about, it's very much about helping that person with their goals. And then in Amy's world, I think the pursuit of fun and enjoyment. So all of that is to say, I'm hoping and confident that Amy will tell us some stories from her world that translates to our world and inspires us. So with that said, I'd like to welcome Amy Jo Kim to the stage.
Hello. So can you see me and hear me okay? Hello?
Yes, we're all, okay. You're great.
Okay, good. So hello, everyone, and welcome to your graduation. Let me share my screen. Do you all see that? You see that, Kendra? Great.
We do.
Congratulations. This is a really exciting day. It's so important to mark these milestones. What I want to do today is, hello. This now seems to not, just a second. We seem to be having some internet issues. Okay, just one moment, guys. There we go. All right. So I want to share with you some ideas about how to add a longer term journey to your focus on engaging people with habit building. First of all, you were very smart to select this program. You're in great hands with Tony and his crew. And I've learned a lot from Tony personally over the years. As you can see here from this graphic, habit building is a big part of any compelling journey. And in game design, we work very hard to build sustainable habits. And frankly, most games don't do it. Most games are not long-term engaging. They're not something that you play for months and even years, but a few games are. So that's what I'm going to share with you is what I've learned from working on the games that are able to build that really long-term engagement. I want to tell you a story to get started. So imagine for a moment that in your pocket you had an always-on companion or friend who knew you intimately, that you could talk to anytime you felt like it. A lot of people have dreamed of that. And there we go. And there was a brilliant group of startup founders from Russia who actually raised money and built that vision out of this always-on AI companion in your pocket. They had amazing tech. They had great PR. They had millions of downloads in their first week, 1.5 million people on their waiting list. All the Silicon Valley tricks were working. But 7 months after they launched, they had low engagement, very low retention, and a real lack of clarity about who they were serving. That was one of the biggest issues. This app also had a very opaque mental model of what they were offering. That the tech was so broadly exciting and applicable, they wanted it to be everything to everybody. So this was one campaign they put out. What kind of replica, which is the name of the company, do you want? Do you want to have a risk-taking replica? Do you want a spontaneous replica? What do you want? So they tried to make it highly customizable, which frankly just confused people even more. Then they tried what most people try, which is they threw some points and badges at that. Why not? Let's gamify it. Perhaps some of you have even thought about, well, gee, what if I had points and badges in my system? Weight Watchers, for instance, has a version of that. Well, for Replica, that didn't really help them. In fact, it made things worse. The points and badges caused an initial lift in their stats, but their retention was even worse after a few months looking at the results. And even worse, it didn't help them at all know, who are we truly serving? Who is this for? So what we did, I then came in and helped this company. We studied the habits of their super fans. I'll get into that in a minute, meaning their hot core customers. And we identified the struggling moments in their journey and then created a customer journey that could connect to their driving need and the outcome they were looking for. And in this case, it was we reframed the app as an AI companion who cares. We reframed it as lightweight support for mental health. We also created a simpler way for people to make progress in those first 7 days. We had small and doable actions that they could take that weren't just, yay, here's a habit. They were really steps along a path, showing them the direction to take, lighting their path toward progress and success. After some very hard work with the team implementing these ideas, we were able to turn this app around, that increase their ratings, their retention, particularly monthly retention, and their revenue as well. It opened up new revenue opportunities. And all of this comes down to asking yourself a simple question and then implementing a journey around that question, which is, what is it that your hot core customers want to get better at? Now, for you, you are probably already familiar with thinking about your customers or your potential customers. What do they want to get better at? Some people might want to get better with managing their temper or their emotions. A lot of people want better health, better eating habits, better exercise habits, better stress reduction habits. There's usually a surface of what people want to get better with, but then there's a deeper issue about the skill needed to get better at that. If you want to get better at losing weight, you really need to develop skills, healthy eating skills, not just follow a set program. You're really building up those skills. And that's what games are really good at, is creating an environment where if you simply play the game, you will be building up certain skills. I have done this for many years with both games and products. And in my own work, we've answered this question: what does your customer want to get better at? For a diverse set of hits. Let me show you what that might look like. You've probably heard of eBay, which is now old, but was, really broke open online selling when it came out. And in eBay, people don't just want to get better at buying and selling stuff. They want to get better at identifying the trustworthy buyers and sellers online. So many of eBay's core systems, including their reputation system, are built around identifying trust. So that's the real issue. In Ultima Online, which I worked on, it's one of the first graphical MMOs. You might think, oh, people just want to get better at playing the game, but actually we had several choices. There were some people that were really into shooters that played our game early and wanted it to be the ultimate shooter. We didn't turn it into that. We turned it into a game where people could live out an increasingly richer and richer fantasy life. If you played the game for several months, you could have a house in a village and be part of the militia that protects the village. There were all kinds of ways for you to get engaged in this fantasy life. In The Sims, we tried a lot of things that didn't work, bringing that game to life. Maybe some of you have played The Sims. If you've played The Sims, tell me in the chat. I would love to know. But we found after a lot of experiments that what people really wanted was a family simulator that they could get better at and try out different scenarios, including disastrous scenarios, which were often the most fun. In Rock Band, how many of you have ever played Rock Band? I'd love to know. It's very simple. People want to get better at playing songs they love with their friends and feel like they're not just listening to the music, but inside of it, making the music. In Netflix, it's a different kind of app. People ultimately want to get better and better recommendations. So interacting with the app is about giving it enough info that you can get great recommendations and always have something to watch that you love. Covet Fashion, a sleeper mobile game hit. The oddest thing, we discovered that the people that play this game really want to get better at putting together and judging other people's outfits. The whole game is built around that. And that game was a massive hit. Such a simple thing, such a fun thing to get better at. But by leveraging that, we were able to produce the biggest hit that studio ever had. Now, closer to where you live and what you're concerned about, Happify is a mental health app that went through a lot of pivots before it found its center, which is people want to get better at taking control of and ultimately lifting their mood. Happify is a mental health app. Now, Tonal, which is like Peloton for weightlifting, it's a weightlifting device that you can put on your wall. There are a lot of things. First, we thought, oh, people want to get better at bulking up. They want to get better at, lifting up their muscles. But ultimately, what we found people wanted out of our system was they really needed to get better at sticking with their workout, because none of that mattered if they weren't sticking with it. So that's where we created a journey. Each of these hits built a compelling customer journey that caused their customers to stick around for the long term. And with the right support, you can do this too. So what is a customer journey? Well, a good way to think about it is the journey from beginner through newcomer and regular to expert. Each of you started the program you're graduating from as some kind of beginner, and you've gone through your own journey, learning the ropes as a newcomer, coming regularly to the program, and now at graduation, getting ready for your journey as an expert. Well, it turns out all your customers go through this same journey when they start working with you. And if you can create a journey for them and really understand these stages and address people where they are in this journey, you will win. Why should you bother doing this? Aren't habits enough? Well, driving sustained retention is one of the hardest things to do. I know Tony knows this, and I know on some level you know this too. Think about all the apps you've tried and never stuck with. A lot of people, a lot of developers like Replica, the brilliant startup I just told you about, they think that Skinner box mechanics, that manipulation, that operant conditioning techniques, rewards when you do things, tracking behaviors, they think that's going to work. And that does work for a while, but it backfires over time. I've seen this again and again. And I told you how it happened with Replica. But there's a different way. If you identify your hot core superfans, meaning the people that need what you're doing yesterday, the people that don't need to be convinced, the people that aren't in the majority, but in fact are early adopters whose need outweighs their doubts about the system. If you can find those people and then deliver a meaningful journey and empower them with that journey, you will have a much better chance at helping them make consistent progress toward their goals rather than that common curve of the initial excitement and then the dropout. Now, it's deeply human to want to make progress. There's something called self-determination theory. Have any of you heard of self-determination theory? Tell me in the chat. Carol Dweck wrote a great book called Mindset about the grit to stick with something. And you see that mastery, making progress towards something you care about, is one of the three, along with autonomy and purpose, the three motivational human drivers that get people deeply engaged. So really think about, what do I want? What is the skill that I want to build with my hot core customers? What is it I want them to get better at? Think beyond the surface and think about that deeper need they have to get better at something and see if you can build a journey around that need. Now, for Replica, it turned out that that deeper need is managing my mood and anxiety. We ended up focusing on the people who weren't just playing around with this cool little app, but were really using it to manage their mood. People for whom Happify, the app I mentioned earlier, wasn't quite the right fit. So I want to give you three traits that your superfans are going to have. And some of you may already have clients and be serving the clients, but as a new coach or somebody who's ramping up their coaching practice, it's really important, just like Replica, to be clear about who you're serving, for whom it's a must-have versus a nice-to-have. This is one of the most powerful ways to create a journey, is to start by saying, who is this for? Because not everybody needs the same thing. Your superfans have these three important traits. They have the problem you solve. That might sound obvious, but so many people say, oh my God, what I do is so great. It's for everybody. Everybody needs this. No, do the opposite. Go as narrow as you can to start. That will help you. So here's the people that we really focused on for Replica. It's 1 a.m. I'm anxious. Who can I talk to? Don't want to call my friend. Pull up Replica. That unmet need, those people are not going to be hesitant and needing social proof. They want something that's going to work. So they have the problem that you solve. Thing number two, they know they have the problem. It's top of mind. They don't need convincing. I cannot tell you how useful this is. If you can find people that don't need convincing for your service, that they know they have that problem, and they're certainly willing to give what you have a try, you will be in so much less of a battle than trying to convince someone. So here's an example. If you're talking to somebody, or I'm talking to somebody, and I probe a little, and I find out that they're actively looking for an app to help them feel better, to manage their anxiety, I know, hey, This person knows they have the problem because they're looking for a solution. They don't need to be convinced, oh, I'm fine, I don't need this. Thing number 3, this is the most useful. They show you through their behavior that they're trying to solve the problem. The world of people who have a problem, know they have the problem, but just sit on the couch, not doing anything about it, complaining, is far bigger than the world of people actively trying to solve the problem. If you can find the people who are trying to solve the problem and get them to switch to your solution, you're so much better off than thinking that somehow magically people who aren't even trying and aren't trying other solutions, somehow your solution will be the magic thing. So an example with Replica would be, I've tried a few of these AI mental health bots. They get kind of boring. I'm not sure if one of them's going to work for me. Maybe this one. That's a person who's actively trying to solve the problem and looking for a solution. So if you can understand what it is that your superfans want to get better at and figure out who your superfans are using those 3 questions I just gave you, you will be on the road to helping them make progress over time and stick with their habit, not just form the habit and then drop it off. So there's 4 stages of a journey using our game thinking model. And I want to leave you with those 4 stages. And my take-home question for you, graduate, is how will you create an experience in those stages for your clients that helps them climb the mountain and make progress? First stage is discovery. Discovery is about visitors. Imagine people that haven't yet signed up for your coaching services. They're looking at your webpage. They met you at a party. They saw something on social media. Those are all where discovery happens. And your goal with discovery is make the value prop clear. You are not serving everybody. The narrower and clearer you are about who you serve and what you offer, the better your funnel, because people that come in will know, is this for me or not? And that's what visitors are always concerned about. Is this for me? So don't be afraid of repelling some people in order to attract the exact right people for you. Onboarding is the second stage. Onboarding is where people learn the ropes. Think about your own service. When you first get a client, how do they know what you offer and what to do? Is it raggedy? Is it an experience? Are you taking them through a series of steps? So really think about when you very first start working with someone, this is not the, hey, well, you're a regular, we're working together. This is the, how do I start getting value quickly and learn the ropes phase? Now comes habit building. Once you've gone through those first 2 phases, habit building is all about re-engaging regulars. And one tip that I want to give you, that if you're trying to drive sustained engagement and you want someone to push through and climb that hill, don't just think about rewards. Don't think about, giving people a reward when they do a behavior, because that's what most people think about. Way more powerful for long-term engagement is feedback versus rewards. So if you're losing weight, feedback can be, weighing yourself, right? Or if you're building muscle, feedback can be some sort of measurement. But feedback can also be feedback from you as a coach. Feedback can be helping them tweak their habits to make sense for them if something's not working. Feedback can be reflecting on how far they've come in their journey. All of those can be feedback. And feedback is way better for long-term engagement than external rewards that just say, yay, you did it, or here's a cookie. And then the 4th one is mastery. And mastery is all about empowering enthusiasts and experts. Now, all of us want all of our customers to reach mastery by working with us. But you know what? Not everybody does. A lot of people drop out earlier. And you need to define mastery as it makes sense for you. And then really think about, okay, the 2 to 5% or maybe 10% of my clients who go beyond, who reach the summit, and now they're ready for more. What do you have for them? Do you have a phase 2 program? Do you have a way for them to come into Tony's program and learn to be a coach? Do you have a way for them to define their next goal? Mastery is often about impact and influence and feeling like you're something bigger and more important and more powerful than you used to be. That's very much what mastery is in gaming. The way that applies to you is to think about how it is that doing a habit repeatedly over time heads toward a goal. And then also to think about, once someone does reach that goal or that milestone, how can they then take what they've learned, what they've built up, the strength that they've acquired, the self-confidence they've acquired? How can they take all of that and leverage it toward their next goal, leverage it toward maybe helping others less fortunate, leverage it toward moving forward in their journey? That's what a journey gets you, is thinking not just about the one goal or rewarding actions, but really thinking about where you're headed, where you've been, and how you can leverage the transformation you've been through to reach even greater heights. So if you enjoyed this and you want more, I invite you to go to our quiz. You can take a quick quiz to find out what kind of innovator you are, and you will get a free cheat sheet with more great tips about how to create a compelling and effective customer journey. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time listening. And once again, congratulations, graduates.
Thank you, Amy. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. There's a lot of, there's so many connections between what you just said and what we teach. And I mean, probably unsurprisingly, a thing that you and I have talked about in the past is how naive I was when I first started the company. And one of the things that came up as I listened to you was how originally we just sold the habit. Do you want to build this habit? And we were agnostic about, well, what is the person going to use the habit to achieve? And so one of the things I'm most proud of in our program, which is going to come out when Kendra reads the list of graduates, is every coach who graduates now is crystal clear on the destination of their customer journey. It's this keystone habit in order to achieve this other thing. And then the other slide that you had about, like, choose someone who has the problem, who knows they have the problem, who's actively solving the problem. It reminds me so much of one of our great sales coaches here, who coaches people who maybe are not necessarily, full-time salespeople. We're all like, Amy, you're a salesperson. I'm a salesperson, right? Occasionally we have to do this, right? And so what she tells us, in order to get us out of our own heads and get us to think the way you were describing in that slide, is sales is about sorting, not convincing. You are finding people, right? And so the way you put it just completely, I think, reinforced something very important for us. And a lot of great stuff in there. And so happy to have you and the graduates as well. So thank you. We're going to move on. So Amy, I invite you to close down your video and your camera, or your video and your microphone. The rest of the program is I'm going to invite Kendra to the stage, and she's going to honor each of the graduates today. And welcome, Kendra.
Thank you, Tony. And I just have to take a little moment of personal privilege. That was so much fun. Amy, I have to tell you that many of us started thinking about how we could apply game thinking to coaching probably this spring or maybe early this year. And I saw Liz is here today. She was definitely in on that conversation. And of course, Tony, I haven't read it as much as I would like, but have the book and we'll certainly dig in. And I love how you tailored what you shared to coaching, because I absolutely think it's relevant. And hopefully you do hear some elements of how we've applied many of the principles that you've shared in our training. So thank you so much for being here. I'm really glad this was recorded and I can watch it again. So I am delighted to introduce our 6th cohort of the Coach.me Habit Coach Certification Program. These coaches have studied and practiced and can guide their clients through harnessing momentum to make positive changes in their lives. I'm particularly proud of how cohesive this group is. They really work together and rooted for each other, had great teamwork and commented on each other's ideas. It was really fun to watch. All right, let's recognize these outstanding graduates. First is Marta Brzosco. Helps work from home freelancers live in their bodies more than their heads with the keystone habit of no phone before breakfast. Caress Fitch helps people with fibromyalgia decrease their pain naturally by building the habit of sustainable movement. Adam Harasansky helps exhausted parents thrive, regaining control of their lives one habit at a time, starting with one push-up. Lena Nagara helps professionals hack into their signature personal style to achieve visibility and memorability in their industries with the keystone habit of asking, "What would Batman say?" Laura Tejerina helps sedentary women get fit without obsessions or self-sabotaging by starting each day with a healthy breakfast. Nigel White helps overwhelmed solopreneurs reclaim their productivity by setting their priorities each day. Wes White helps busy men get lean and strong through at-home workouts and mindful eating, starting with eating one healthy meal each day. All right. Congratulations again to our newest certified habit coaches. It's always so much fun to read their names and know their stories and know how hard everyone worked, in these years to accomplish something like this. Really does take a ton of effort. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of each of your profiles and how hard you work to really apply the principles. And thank you all for joining us today. And those of you that will watch this on the recording and help celebrate with these graduates, it's an absolute pleasure.
All right, and that is our graduation. I invite everyone to click over to the networking tab, which is a fun way to end the day. It's the talk one-on-one with people. I know Kendra and I will be there, and maybe even Amy will be there. And so you can go over there now. I'm going to start up the recessional, and I'll pop over there in a minute as well. All right, that's the end of this one. See you in cohort 7.